behalf of all the participants, all the principals, and all the staff, especially all the participants of this webinar, I very humbly and wholeheartedly welcome our manager bishop, His Grace Dr. Joseph Mar Dionysius, to this webinar, and I request Your Grace to bless us with your motivating words. Many, please.
Glory to the Almighty God, forever and ever. Amen. Can you hear me? Okay. So, fathers, respected principals of various institutions, Dr. Joshi, Father Dr. Joshi Varghese, Education Sir, my respected teachers, and all who are attending this webinar, my humble salutation to each and everybody who are hearing me. Can you hear me?
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Father.
Okay. So I am very happy that you have given me all blessings and greetings for my 65th birthday. I have completed my 64 years. Today I am entering the 65 of my age, and today we have Holy Communion here, and due to Corona no other special programs are here. All programs are cancelled. So for wishing me my birthday greetings, I'm extremely happy. I am indebted to you. My thanks are due. Thank you very much for giving me your good greetings. Now I am myself. I am also a teacher in the Kerala University. Therefore, I am always happy to see enthusiastic teachers. Today, we are living an information technology age. Now, social science teachers today are assembling and sharing their uh, expertise how to impart social science education in this modern technological age, especially in the through e-media, how to transfer the information, how to teach the students, especially social science. I think an expert in this field, she is talking and he is giving a good class for you. So my humble greetings and to each and everybody. Let this webinar be a success and a resource for you in your future teaching program. Thank you. Thank you. May God bless you all. My humble wishes, my humble thanks for your greetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father.
I request Father Joby Peter, the principal of MGM Public School, Bilaspur, to welcome our first person.
Very warm good morning to each and everyone who is present here. Most revered, Your Grace Dr. Joseph Mar Dionysius Pirimenis, Manager of MGM Group of Schools, revered priest, our resource person, Mrs. Seena, Reverend Sisters, Principals, and respected teachers from various schools. This responsibility shouldered on me is to welcome everyone. I take this opportunity, first of all, to welcome Your Grace, His Grace Dr. Joseph Mar Dionysius, who is also celebrating his 65th birthday today. Tirumeni, we are blessed to have you in our diocese, and we are immensely blessed to have your leadership to lead our schools so well. On behalf of all the people, all the teachers, staff, and principals, I extend a warm birthday greetings and we pray that God may bestow you with long life and all happiness and good health and welcome you to this meeting. Thank you, Srimani, for your gracious presence here, and once again I welcome. Today we have our resource person, Mrs. Hina Ansari, and we are indeed privileged to have her amongst us to lead this special session on social studies teaching in this special scenario. She has a wholesome 10-year experience in the field of education. She started her career as a teacher and has specialized many projects to design curriculum and content for the SSC, CBSE, ICSE, and IGSE boards for both government and non-government aided schools and boards. She has expertise in training and has traveled across India to train academicians as well as corporate clients. We are fortunate, madam, to have you in this webinar and welcome you wholeheartedly on behalf of all the principals, teachers who are gathered here in this webinar. I would like to welcome all the revered priests who are working as vice presidents and principals in MGM Group of Schools as well as from various other organizations and schools. I would like to welcome all revered sisters. I would like to welcome all the teachers, social studies teachers who are teaching in various schools to this webinar, and a special welcome to our Reverend Father Joshi Verghese, who needs a special mention for taking effort for arranging all these webinars. I wholeheartedly welcome Father Joshi Verghese also to this webinar, and I hope we will all have a wonderful and a fruitful time. Thank you. May God bless. Let us, Joshi, it's back to you.
Thank you, Father Joby. May I request now Ms. Hina Ansari to take over for the session. Hina, ma'am.
Hello. Yes. Good morning, all of you. Am I audible now? Yes, Father? Okay, so everybody is muted. Before I begin, a very happy birthday, Father, for your 65th birthday. Wishing you a very prosperous and healthy year ahead. May you have many more birthdays to come. Thank you, Father, for that introduction. Yes. Before I begin this session, teachers, I hope we've all gathered here for a session, a webinar on effective strategies of teaching social studies. And I hope you're all staying safe, teachers, at home during this COVID period. A few instructions that I would like to impart before we begin the webinar. Kindly mute yourself, all of you. I can listen background noise because we are a huge number of participants. We are almost 177. So kindly mute all of you. This is going to be an interactive session, so I want all my teachers who are present here to participate. We have gathered here for a webinar, so we come together as a teaching community to share our experiences, generate ideas, be opinionated about our teaching experiences. So I want you all to share your experiences, challenges also that you're coming across for SSD. Teachers, please mute yourself. Yes. Next thing is, whenever you want to speak, please unmute yourself and speak, but please be careful that you mute yourself again after you've shared your answer. And because we have a stipulated time for this session, we will limit ourselves to 1 minute. So whoever is sharing, make sure that you finish your experience that you're sharing or your answer within a time limit that is 1 minute so that others get an opportunity. I'll be sharing a PPT presentation also with you after a discussion. If you want, you can note down points. From that, we will be discussing a lot of challenges also. I'll be imparting a lot of effective strategies for teaching social studies also. There are various methods that have been listed down. You can note it down, or I think the session is being recorded, so you can have a review of the session again. So before I begin, and the last instruction is, while I'm presenting the PPT teachers, you can switch off your videos. That will support our bandwidth, because I believe a lot of you have joined from interiors also.
वो वहीं से बंद होगा ना, पता नहीं हम लोग को
Mr. Mercy, please mute yourself while you are checking the features of the Google Meet. Okay. So you can switch off the videos while I'm sharing the PPT, but you can always unmute yourself and participate in the discussion, because this will support the bandwidth that we are all working from home, because right now we are all working from home and we are all using internet on a very vast band. So before I begin, just a few set of questions. Okay, so I have all SST teachers here, right from grade 1 to grade 10, and it's a privilege to have you all here on board. Why do we have SST in the curriculum? Why is social studies a part of the curriculum? We have math, we have science, we have English. Why do we need social studies? Was there a need really to have social studies in the curriculum, or was it sufficient to have science and math? Because please unmute yourself, ma'am. I think Ms. Sujata Roy, you're speaking. Please unmute, ma'am. Unmute yourself to speak. Ma'am, there would be a icon on your screen which will show a mic. Click on that mic to unmute yourself.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Mrs. Varsha.
Yes, ma'am.
From MGM School.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the answer to your question, I would like to share something, that social science is such a kind of subject which is dealing with the practical usage of our daily life, actually. So
right.
It is very necessary that we should have this subject in the curriculum, because students will be able to know many things about whatever we are having, like is if we can see civics or democratic politics or geography. So it is very much keenly related to our daily lives. So we are supposed to know the things related to that. So it's very essential, ma'am.
So ma'am said it is related to our daily lives. Anybody else wants to share another answer? Thank you, ma'am. That was really well said.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm Sangeeta Singh from MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
History is also a part of social science, and we learn from the past experience. So it is. I think that social science is also should be a part of curriculum.
Okay, so because you feel history is a part of our past and we learn from our past, so that is why it should
experience
be.
Of our past.
Yes. Experience, absolutely. So something which is experience is important to learn in the present, right? Something we learn. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Miss Manisha. Yes. Good morning.
Madam, I'm from Pitarsi. I want to share in short that we should relate with the present, past, and future. So that is why we should be connected with history, geography, and economics, means all other related subjects.
Okay.
So, good morning, Archana Sharma here. I also want to say something, ma'am. Good morning, all. I'm from St. Thomas School, Indirapuram, Ghaziabad. Actually, the question is why we study social studies, or why there is the need. I feel that children or adults, whoever, we all are social animal, and we live in a society, and we should know what's happening in the society and how the society behaves, how a person should behave in a society. So learning about society, education about society is very important, which is provided by social studies. Now it is social science. So it's not only studies, but it's analysis also. So a child should learn, and childhood is the age from where the learning begins, and the child grasps so many things. So it is very important for a child to learn about the society, which should begin in childhood itself. So learning social studies is important.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am.
Good. Yes, Ms. Kanchan, please share your answer.
I'm Kanchan Singh from MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro. The all teachers said about that, but this is my feeling. The social science give the information regarding our culture and tradition, because if we are in a social animal, definitely we have to know about our culture, about our tradition, and this is only the subject which give the lots of information regarding our past and how the cultures tradition develop. This is my feeling.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, teachers, Mr. Archana, Ms. Kantan, for your answers. I'll take more answers, teachers. Please wait. I know a lot of you want to speak, and I'm glad that you all are participating interactively from the beginning of the session. Like we said that, it is a part of our society, and Ms. Archana said we should imbibe our students right from a very young age that they are in society, and even analysis have become a part of social studies now. Ms. Kanchan said that it is cultural studies that we have to impart to our students, and culture and tradition is very important. Accepted all the answers, and they're all fantastic answers. Then why? The next question is, then why do students lose interest in social science or social studies after a point? Why does it is already always claimed as a boring subject? What is the reason behind that? What happens? We are giving 100% potential, 100% to teaching. We know that it is an important subject because we live in society. We need to know so many things. Then why is that students lose interest in this subject? What happens? Why is only comparatively science and maths becomes very prominent, or rather English becomes prominent, and what happens in social studies? Are there challenges? I'm guessing we do have challenges. Can I have 1-2 challenges? What is that we fail in spite of this subject being so important? What is the reason behind that?
I feel it is job opportunities.
Job opportunities. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mahesh. What kind of job opportunities you're talking about? If you could just specify a little.
See, like if we see other subjects like English, maths, and science. So if you see the society and the corporate culture, so people from these backgrounds are more required, I feel. But as far as social science and social studies is concerned, so related to that particular area, there is not that kind of jobs are available.
Okay, so one constraint that Mr. Mahesh shared is jobs, and as students, when they graduate, thank you, Mr. Mahesh, they look forward to a career opportunity. Yes, Ms. Kanchan, please share.
Ma'am, okay, this is today we are living modern world. No doubt, the students get more interest in math, science, English, everything. But this is my thinking, ma'am. All the competitive examinations, we have a one general knowledge or the GS paper, and it is more than questions that belong to the social science.
Ma'am,
so
exactly
job
correct.
opportunity, job opportunity. This is not only a just we say that this is not only a reason. That's why the people. This is the big question is that why the students are not getting are not taking the interest in social science. Actually,
yes, so that is what we are discussing, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We are discussing like that. So social science, I feel when I take my class, so I feel that the more interest in social, maths, English, and science. Sir is right. The people students thought that if we studied maths and science, definitely we get the good job, engineer, doctor, and everything. If we study social science, so this is a challenging period for us.
Okay, so career, both the teachers shared, Mr. Mahesh and Kanchan
One more thing I would like to add. See, if
yes.
as far as interest is concerned of students in studies, so this is losing day by day. It's getting down day by day. You may talk about at any subjects. So it's not only social science. I feel that if we talk about the interest in studies, so it's getting down day by day. Means
yes, sir.
the way
This
we are
is right.
teaching.
Okay, so let's not talk about
Hi,
the
ma'am.
interest.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, thank you, Miss Jessie wants to speak, right?
Yeah. So I
Yes,
just
please.
feel that there is a lack of interest in the students. At the same time, I just feel it that students they are more interested towards subjects which they are able to do, like practically. Our social science and history, it mostly deals with the theory part. So that is what I feel.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for
Good
bringing
morning,
that
ma'am.
up. That
Hello,
I
uh,
want
may
to
I,
add the
ma'am?
same
yes,
like
Azad.
Jessica said.
I One
Yes.
second, Miss Neha is saying. Then we can have Miss Shah, Mr. Shah. Sorry,
Mr.
uh,
Shah, actually.
Mr.
I
Shah.
am
I'm
wrong.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Azad actually is the first
Yes,
name.
yes, actually,
Talking
Yes,
in the
Miss Neha.
students, talking from the perspective of students, what I feel the biggest challenge that they face is the vastness of the subject. Social science in itself is a very vast subject where they have to deal with history, geography, economics, civics. So maybe that could be one of the reasons where they lose interest. However, maths and science, that is more practical. You know, they enjoyed solving those questions. But social science, it's a very theoretical subject. So maybe that could be one of the reasons that they lose interest in that subject.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Miss
Good
Shah,
morning, ma'am.
yes.
Miss Shah,
Hello.
can we have, yes?
Ma'am, as per me, I think the main reason that social studies can be so boring to students is that it is not made relevant to them. And most school age young people are focused on their own social situations. And I think that is normal, that is where they are in life actually. They can't
Thank you so
relevant to
much,
them.
ma'am. So bringing this up, that
Thank
you
you,
said
ma'am.
that it is boring because the focus is missing there. The
Yes,
practicality of the subject, where it is not related to the current scenario, because
yes.
most of the times history is about past, and that is
Fine.
exactly the student in the class will ask, why are we studying about people who are dead? Why
Hmm.
are they important to me? They are already gone. What do I do with them? This is the very generic question that we have among students, and
Yes.
it's absolutely okay when they're asking this question, because as teachers we need to tell them that why is it important. There was we'll come to that. Okay, we'll have more answers of challenges, and then I'll proceed further. Miss Kanchan Khera, I think she wanted to speak something.
Yes,
Ma'am, please.
ma'am. Good morning.
Yes.
I
Good morning.
personally think maybe, ma'am, that we are offering them four dishes in one platter. That is why it is getting more bored to them. We can merge civics and economics
Okay, so ma'am
in
feels
one plate. I personally think so.
okay, so we
Because
all
I am
have.
taking class 10,
Okay,
so I was okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
so you're taking class 10th and you feel you're giving too much in the platter. The plate is over, the plate is full. There's no place.
Yes, ma'am.
No problem. I accept all your answers. Yes, Miss.
Yes, Mrs. Varsha Pradhan. And one of the very important reason what I feel like is that the thinking of the people which has been coming from generations to generations, which the students are passing from one person to another, that it is a boring subject. Actually,
Okay.
it is not like that, isn't it? So many of the new things have been introduced in the subject so that we can make it an interesting one. But like we say na, ki yes, already it has been coming from generations. Ki yes, it's boring, boring, boring. So people
Thank you.
want to do it like that.
Thank you, Miss Versha. You're bringing it about. You said it's the mindset. The perception has been built. Yes. So from generations, I agree to it. From even when we were students in the school, a perception was made that it is a boring subject. And somewhere as teachers, it has become a challenge for us to break that perception. So today, going ahead, we will see how are we going to break that perception. And all other teachers who said, the plate is full, they think they are overburdened with the subjects. One of the teachers shared that practical applications in the subject are missing. That means maths and science has more practical, rather history and geography and civics does not have. But today I will tell you how we have more of practical applications rather than maths and science. I will show you that today. Okay, anybody else wants to share any challenge before I proceed further? Because I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
lot of questions. I have a lot of questions to ask, and I'm sure you have a lot of answers to give.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. This is Shafkat from MGM High Secondary School, Bokaro. And I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want to say that yes, that students they are losing interest day by day. Basically, the things that we need to understand is textbooks that we are going through. It is like a dynamic document, not a static one. Another thing which I want to tell is that different types of intelligence are there. Like basically, there are 8 types of intelligence, and accordingly, we have to deal with this type of intelligence. Like someone is more towards music, more towards pictures, math, smart, self smart, nature smart. These all intelligence power are there in the student. What is our responsibility is to look into the intelligence level of the student, and accordingly we have to impart the education looking into their intelligence level by different methods, like we have interactive method, deductive method, laboratory, field study basically, which I feel is more important, and another problem solving method. So by using these all things and looking into the intelligence of the student, in which way they will be capturing the things more beautifully, more smartly, and by this way I think we can bring the changes in social science.
Thank you, Ms. Shafkat. So, very rightly said that please mute yourself, teachers. There's a lot of disturbance I can hear from the background. Yes. So, very rightly said that, because the focus is being shifted. And like ma'am said, that we have this theory, we are teachers, we all know about this theory, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Ma'am, just to let you know, and all the teachers here, the theory is revised again. And now we have 9 multiple intelligences. There's one more added to it, which is spirituality. So now there are 9 types of learners in the classroom: musical, linguistic, vocabulary, mathematic, visual. So all in all, we have 9. Kinesthetic. So these are 9 types of learners. And absolutely, like ma'am said, we have to cater to each learner because each learner is different. And most of the times, these laboratory methods and field trip is an exception where you can take the students once in quarter. Not every topic you can take them for a field trip. That is also selective. But of course, laboratory method and these methods are missing. So somewhere we need to bring down our teaching way that we cater to all types of learners in the classroom. So that is something we will also see today. How can we do that? Next question I want to ask, like Mr. Mahesh initially, he pointed out that, career prospects with social science or social studies are missing. Can I know any career prospects that we have if we major in social science or social studies or sociology or humanities going ahead with, the management level, the subject's name changes? So has anybody teacher told any student that, if you do a major in this, tomorrow you'll become, like we say, you study science, you'll become a doctor, you'll become an engineer. So do I have any of my teachers who've told any career prospects to their students? Yes, Miss Neha, I think you're speaking. I can't hear you. Please unmute.
I'm taking classes in 6th and 7th. So I remember there was a girl in 7th standard who was more interested to go into civil services. So she told me that, ma'am, I really want to focus on social studies because my aim is to enter the political services. I want to appear for Indian administrative services. These competitive exams I wanted to get. So she was more interested that she told me, ma'am, I want some extra time with you so that I can more focus on my social science subject and make my base clear. So this is the biggest career opportunity if you go with social science.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing that up, that, you're guided towards some career. I'll come to that later. Before that, a little twisted question. Whenever, all our students are studying in school now, tomorrow they'll go to college, and the aim of our being a teacher is that they have, they have a settled life tomorrow, they have a good job, they have a good designation. Now there are certain themes that, CBSE and ICSE both has laid down certain guidelines. Social studies is all about themes. It is not about lessons. And can anybody tell me what is the first theme that comes in the textbook? What is the first thing that a child learns in the textbook? Right from grade 1, 2, 3, 4th onwards, it changes a little. 2, 3, yes. What is the first topic that you have in the textbook, teachers?
Family. I think it's studying the.
No, it's not family. No, it's not family. It's not family.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, good
Yes,
morning,
Ms. Dolly.
ma'am. Yeah, it's Jamala Kuddi from St. Thomas, Indrapuram. And first chapter, when we see, that's me. Me,
Absolutely
myself.
correct. Yes, absolutely correct, ma'am. It's me, myself. So the first thing that a student study is myself, and that is a basic introduction. Now tell me, teachers, all of you go for interview. Has ever a math concept, suppose let's take a trigonometric concept. Has trigonometry taught you how to introduce yourself? Has a photosynthesis topic in science told you how to introduce yourself? When you go for an interview, the first thing the interviewer will ask you is, okay, tell me something about yourself. And that is where your basics of social science pops in. You talk about yourself. And that is what we learn in a very lower grade, right from grade 1, 2, 3. Myself, that is my EVS, my social studies. So my first breakdown in an interview, be it any job, be I'm going for an executive or a VP or a CEO, becoming an IS, whatever possible, becoming a doctor also. You go to a hospital, they'll ask you, okay, tell me about yourself. Second question, which embarks, is my family. They'll ask you, who all in your family? That is again my social studies. So none of my science practical concept ever taught me how to talk about my family. They've taught me about so many things, but not to introduce myself, not to introduce my family. Third question comes is, where do you live? Where do you reside? And my geography has taught me that. My geography points out, where do I live? And they will ask you, oh, in the interview, they will ask you, oh, that is really far from our office location where you reside. Will you be comfortable traveling? And again, my geography comes in. I say, yes, I will use public transport to come here. I'll use a train, I'll use a bus, I'll have a car. So that is again where my geography comes in. So the basic things, the basic question starts with my social studies. Let's move a little higher. Come on. So I, like ma'am said, the platter is full. We have, history, geography, civics, then political, then we have economics in the higher grades, of course. Now tell me, tomorrow you become a doctor and you become a famous doctor. You have patients falling in like anything. Like, you have in an hour, you have 10 appointments. You are a famous, let's take you are a famous cardiologist. And, per hour fee you're charging is like 3,000 rupees. Now, every day, an hour, you're earning so much. Per patient, 3,000. 10 patients come, 30,000. Now, tell me, how are you going to manage your finance? You have become a doctor, science, you've studied. Teachers, tell me, are you comfortable with English, or do you want me to use a mixture of English and Hindi both? You can write in the chat box. I will use both the languages, and even you can respond in both the languages. Somebody's written yes. What is that yes for? English or Hindi?
No, ma'am, I'm not talking about English and Hindi. I'm just talking about when that cardiologist start earning 90,000 or 1 lakh in a month, that means economics enters in his life. Economics
Absolutely
is something
correct.
which enters, whether you are an actor, you are a star, you are a superstar, or you are a
Absolutely
doctor,
correct.
anything. Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Good
you so
afternoon.
much, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank-
I'm from St. Thomas School, Ghaziabad. Thank you. Shailaja Sharma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You solved my problem. You answered my question. You solved my problem. So I need to tell my student, no matter tomorrow you become a Bollywood star, no matter tomorrow you become an IS officer, no matter tomorrow you become a scientist, but baby, understand the basics begin from my social studies. My economics will teach you how to handle money. That is the first chapter that we have, the basics of rupees. Second chapter is my inflation. Now, there are chances people losing job. Every day there are these chances. Even in COVID-19, so many companies have shut down. They've asked employees to leave the job. Now, how will you manage money? That's my third chapter in economics, money management, basic. So that is what my social studies is teaching you right in grade 7. It is only when you become a financial accountant or somebody, then you will learn in the higher grade. But my social studies is giving you right in basic schooling. कॉलेज में जाके तो आप बाद में सीखोगे, पहले मेरा सोशल स्टडीज आपको पढ़ा रहा है हर चीज. Okay, so my economics is also sorted. Tell me, I will come to maths also now. Tell me, how will you use maths in social studies? Tomorrow you become a scientist. Come on, let's take APJ Kalam. He is an idol for most of us. He was a fantastic teacher, a scientist, a president, and he's one of my idols, my favorite. And he loves social studies a lot. Why? Because he said once, when I have to study about my solar system, my maths cannot work without it. I cannot say 400 meters sun is far from me. My social studies is there a part of my maths. Maths cannot live all alone. Where do I use these numbers? All my calculations, all my scientific calculations, my science runs on social studies. I cannot use them all alone. So even any subject, be it science, be it maths, be it economics, any of my subjects. Okay, tomorrow you go to a bank. Banking is something again we learn in civics. Forget about all these things. You love to travel. All of our students love to travel. We all love to travel. How are you going to do that? Maths is not going to allow you to take to places, right? Where do we learn that? Geography, exactly. So why are we missing geography there? So you see, maths never taught me where to go to places. It never gave me a global perspective. And tomorrow, nowadays, the scenario has changed, teachers. Earlier, we used to be very limited to our area, to our country, to our state. But now students want to go global. They want to study abroad. They want to go. Somebody wants to go to US. Somebody wants to go to UK. But maths will never show you a map. Maths will give you numbers. Now tell me, when you don't know the map of the world, you don't know how to read a globe, how will you decide you want to go to France, you want to go to Japan, or you want to go to China? How will you ask science, where am I supposed to go? Science, please show me the map. Science will never show you. So see, my geography is so important. Come on, let's bring it down to the household level. Nowadays, we have this Google Maps app. 10 years before, we didn't have this app. I can see a lot of teachers smiling. Because we are realizing that we are not promoting our subject to the fullest. That is what we are doing. Somewhere, we ourselves, teachers, have not incorporated the essence of social studies in our daily life. We forget to tell our students that. So today is what I will tell you that how it is important in daily life, and every day you can tell your students with that. Next, I was saying that, Google Maps was an application which we didn't have 20 years before, but now it is in our phone. Earlier, we used to, if we were going somewhere, we used to ask the dukanwala, the people walking on the road, can you please guide where is this place? Can you please guide where is this place? But now I have Google Maps. I just click on the Google map and it shows me where am I supposed to go. That is again my geography. And map reading, we have right from grade 3. We teach students to plot places on political map. We teach students to mark rivers, dams, everything, the mines, the mineral resources that we have, everything we ask them to mark on a political and a physical map. So tomorrow, even if you become owner of a petrol pump or something, you need to know where the mines are. Where are you going to dig? That is again my geography. So even a businessman needs to know geography. And need to know the history also, because how well is that place? Does that place give you good output? Does the land is good? Even a basic farmer, India is 70% still an agrarian country. We still have people who are following agriculture on a very vast scale. We still don't have tertiary level occupation. So even my farmer needs to know my geography. That is the basic occupation in India. So right from a farmer to an IAS to the president and prime minister, everybody needs to know history and geography. Because if you become a president or prime minister, you need to know what the previous president has done and what will you leave for your successor. So no matter whatever profession you go, you need to know my civics. So now come on, tomorrow there is something, nowadays in COVID-19, we are getting to listen about so many domestic violence cases. And tomorrow you want to go and file a case. Where do you learn about Gram Panchayat? I don't get to see a topic in maths.
Civics.
Yes.
Ma'am, civics.
Yes.
Civics.
How many of you have seen a Gram Panchayat topic in maths and science? I can see a lot of you smiling. So nobody has seen, right? So even a small little contract, you go for a job, they will give you the first document, which is your formal interview letter. And that's a contract that we are taking you on job. Teachers, please mute yourself, those who have unmuted to speak. And they will tell you, this is your appointment letter. Please go through it. Please read it. This is the contract that we are offering you. And then we'll take you on board. You read through it. You sign the document. Tomorrow, the organization is saying, no, you have to leave the job and go. Now, what do? My civics comes in. I go to the court. Maths never taught me to go to the court. They never gave me my fundamental rights. They never gave me my civic right. They never told me what are my fundamental duties and responsibilities. So, even for a small little thing, I need to know my civics, my history, my geography. And this very important question, why do I study up people who are dead? Why do I need to know about them? What do I have to do with them? So that I will tell you how do you deal with this question once I begin my presentation. But I think for now, I can see a lot of teachers smiling because they're understanding where we are losing the essence of social studies. Coming to the career prospects, teachers, yes, we are missing career prospects. There are many career prospects that are available now with social studies. And there are universities abroad which are coming up only with majors in social studies. Boston University abroad is one university which has archaeology, anthropology as their majors. Now, when you study social studies, you can become a museum curator. That's a very respectable and high paying job. It's a very respectable job. You can become an archaeologist. You can become an anthropologist. You can become a journalist. A journalist needs to have a lot of current situation, a lot of current scenario knowledge. And journalist is one of the topmost paying jobs. People, students love to come on TV. Arnab Goswami and so many news reporters who come. So they are all journalists. They've studied all majors in social studies only. So that is one job. The other job that you can come up with is you can become the researchers. There is so much importance of researchers. Any thick fat book that you see co-authored by, written by, they are all researchers. They've all researched on their subject. And then now not anyone can research. Understand that. You cannot just open Google and say, okay, I have done my research, मैंने Google पे पढ़ लिया है, अब मेरा research हो गया है. No, there are skills required for a researcher. You have to take secondary data, primary data, involve your own analytical skills. After you research, you have to arrive to a conclusion. And you need a set of skills for that. Not anybody can arrive at a conclusion. So there are so many professions that are available through social studies. It's all that we are not giving a lot of focus to that. And see, earlier, transition will happen, teachers. Earlier, we used to give a lot of importance to doctors, scientists, engineers. Now we have people who want to take up professions as chef. 10 years before, we didn't have chefs existing. Now becoming a chef has become one of the craze among everybody because it's a high paying job. You come on TV. It's something which is practical and applicable to your daily life. Same way, transition for social studies will also come, but it is you and me who will enlighten our students that these are the career prospects that are available and how you have to guide them, how to choose them. Most of our students do not know how to go about with it. They don't know how to choose a career. So you need to, like for engineering and for science, you have all these entrance exams. Similarly, for all these professions also, you have entrance exam. We have academic counselors available. Counsel them, guide them. They will learn through it. Now, I will begin my presentation. Before that, I will just ask you a few things. What are the teaching methods that you are using in classroom? Any different teaching methods that you are using in classroom? There are so many methods that you use in classroom. Can anyone tell me what are the different methods that you are using in classroom?
Storytelling methods can be utilized.
Storytelling. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Storytelling. Yes.
History or map works can be basically used for geography. Okay. So
Okay.
that is
Yes.
more practical and more interesting for the students so that they
Right.
can also take it.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Map work, storytelling. What
Audio
else?
visual. Audio visual.
Audio. Absolutely correct, ma'am. Audio visual is too much in fashion these days. We cannot live without them. It's a
And
must
for
now.
the chapters like consumer protection, we use skits for them. We make them to play a
Absolutely.
skit so that to understand the chapter more better.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That is also one way that we can do. Yes. Any other methods, teachers?
Good morning, ma'am. This is Shweta Mishra. I'm from Bilaspur. Ma'am, we can use the students to show the movement of the solar system, to show the rotation and revolution to the students by involving them. They feel happy also if we involve them because they are small in smaller classes. We used to teach them about solar system. They feel happy also that ma'am is involving us and they will enjoy also. And by this activity method, they can easily understand about the movement of solar system, rotation, revolution of sun and moon. By this they can understand.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing that. Yes, you can have involving them in geography. Absolutely correct. So many methods that we have. The only question is, teachers, when are we using these methods? History, when, timeline. That is very important. Now, suppose when and how and with which grade. Now, suppose debate is one of the methods of teaching SST. If you have a parliament, you can create a mock parliament in the classroom. But can you have a debate with a class 3 student? No, you cannot have a debate. No. Ms. Sharma, you want to speak, ma'am?
Just saying, ma'am, debate we cannot handle in third class. Debate started from 9, 10th, 11th, 12th onward. As the new things introduced, like demonetization introduced, GST introduced, after this lockdown is there. So these are economic events which we can openly discuss with the 9, 10th, 11th, 12th class, but not with the third class.
Ma'am, but in class third, we can use interactive methods. We can give them a question, or we can give them query, and we can give them a 1 day time that they can go and they can search, or we can just put an interactive method over there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, teachers, for answering my question. Absolutely correct. So there are certain methods that we have to use for certain level of students. I cannot use, okay, I know, survey is a method of teaching social studies, but I cannot use survey for my grade 5. That's a higher level method, survey and questionnaire. So I will ask them to survey something, research something, and prepare a questionnaire on that. So we need to know when and how and with whom. So my WH questions need to be answered. I might know many ways. There are many ways, many methods of teaching SST. But how and when to use them and with what level of students is something very important. So today in the presentation, I will take you through all that. I will share my slide with you, teachers. Okay, I hope it is visible. Please, one of you, please tell me that you can see my slide.
Yes,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. One second. Now it is not visible, I think, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I wanted to switch off my camera before. Even you can switch off your camera, teachers, because now the slide is going to be there. And you can unmute yourself and speak because questions will be continued. There is no escape to questions. Okay. So today is our topic, effective teaching strategies for social studies. And we discussed it. What is social studies? It is all about history, geography, humanities, political science. We've discussed it. So I'm taking you quickly brushing through the slides. We discussed it at a very brief length, that why social studies a part of curriculum, or rather social science a part of the curriculum, because it gives you insight in human history, natural man-made conditions on earth. It tells me about my politics, my economics. It tells me about my finances, my religion. It tells me about business, industries, international cooperation, so many things. Now, there are certain key skills that, every subject will teach you certain key skills. Now, from maths, you learn how to calculate, be it a circle, be it a square, you will know how to calculate the area. From science, you learn how to do experimentations and observe. Similarly, we need to tell our students why we study history, geography, and science, because every subject is taught for skill orientation. It is not just that we teach and we forget it. Earlier, I remember in school, we also had needlework as a subject. It was a very important subject and we were graded for that. Now it is not there anymore, but we had it because there were certain skills that, that point of time, the education board thought that students should learn. They should know how to stitch a button. That was very, very, very basic. So similarly, through history, geography, and civics and economics, we also learn certain skills. One is critical thinking. So when I told you, when students ask you, why do we study of people who are no more in the world? They are gone. Because those students are historic personalities. They have done something which is remarkable, commendable in the field of history, geography, and science. Somebody has discovered a land, somebody has invented a telescope. This is where my critical thinking comes in. If you have the topic Renaissance, you will see how the society radically changed. People started rationally reasoning out for things. Before that, people used to believe blindly. And this is where my critical thinking falls in. I need to question things every now and then. I just can't accept blindly who's telling me what. And even tomorrow, whatever profession you achieve, you will question. You can't just accept anything which is done to you. And this is what the skill my social studies teach me. When Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement, people ask him, why are we not doing the violence way of achieving success? Why are we using the non-cooperation movement? Why are we going non-violence? That was the critical thinking that we had. He said, no, if I go on a destructive mode, there will be loss of life and people. We will be in loss. But with this, we are not harming anybody, but we will achieve freedom. That is where my critical thinking falls in. So this is something through personalities you need to tell the students. You have a French Revolution, you have an Indus Valley civilization. You need to tell, even in Indus Valley civilization, you need to tell people that even before, that is one of the civilizations that we had, even before other civilizations of the world. But you see how well the drainage systems were designed, and that is critical thinking, because people knew that drainage is something very important, hygiene is important. So this is where my critical thinking comes in. With critical thinking, questioning comes in. Let students ask questions in the class. Even if that is not relevant to your topic, let them ask. If you do not know the answer, teachers, tell them, I will let you know after this class. Right now, it is important that we complete the topic. But do not shut them off. Most of the times when students ask us a question, we shut them off. We tell them, this is not relevant, you're wasting time. Do not do that. Let them ask questions. Making connections. So this is important to make connections. Like the first topic is myself, second is my family. And now I will bring this current news here. Yesterday we heard a very sad news about the Bollywood star Sushant Singh Rajput committing suicide. Why is that? We got to know that he was in depression and all alone because he had no connections, no friends, no family. So connections is very important, because it is not only the Bollywood star teachers. Few years back, we had a very high rate of students in the age group of 13 to 15 committing suicides because they were pressured. Most of the students could not make connections and make their parents understand that, this is something which I cannot do. Not every child can achieve a 90%. And that connection is missing. And that is what my family, my neighborhood, very basic themes of my subject teaches me. That is to make connections. Adapting to new situations. Now, this is very, very important, teachers. Before COVID, we never had these Zoom sessions. We never had a Google Meet session. This is something very important you need to tell the class, that maths has never taught you to adapt to situations. A trigonometry from its inception has remained a trigonometry till now. But every day there is a current news. There is a change in the solar system. There is an asteroid. And that is new situations. Now, this is what my social studies teaches me. This is the skill. Today, I can't tell my students, we are hit by a pandemic. We are going through COVID-19. Let's shut down the schools and everything. When this gets over, then I will come. No, we have to adapt to new situations. And that is what my social science teaches me. That, change will be every day. Nothing is going to same. Early humans began as hunter-gatherers, and they ended us as Neolithic period, where they had fire, they had wheels, they had everything possible. They started cooking food. That is what change of situations, and people have adapted to that. Observation. This is very important, teachers, that, my subject teaches, that is social studies and social science, but usually we feel it's only science that teaches observation. No. I have to observe the changes that happen in the solar system, the phases of the moon, the lunar eclipse. That is all observation. People in the society, the bomb blast that happened in the trains, if we would have observed it, that was all about society. After that, we started checking that there should be no bags lying on the stations or anywhere else. We became alert. But if we have been observant earlier, we would have stopped that from happening. So observation, not necessary you observe an experiment only or a chemical reaction only. Observation is you observe the changes in the society. You are alert all the time. You see what is happening in the neighborhood, you see what is happening in the society, you are alert. That is basic observation. Creativity and innovation, how we spoke about critical thinking, and creativity is a part of it. When you question, when you think, you automatically become creative. Telescope was invented by Galileo. He was not an English literature person, and that is an innovation. He was creative, and it is helping us to a lot of extent today. So this is all my creativity comes in through my social studies. Is people think only if I study science I'll be creative, or if I study art then I'll be creative. No, that is not the fact. Critical thinking and problem solving we spoken earlier also. Communication. So my social studies teaches me to communicate, because I have to introduce myself, I have to introduce my family. So it is not only in English, it is in social studies. I have to introduce my friend, I have to, talk in the classroom, I have to think so many things. Collaboration, because so many of you teachers say that we live in the society and we have to work with each other. This is basic. Tomorrow when you work in a corporate, you have to work on projects and you have to collaboratively come together as a group and work on many things. And people do not get along with each other. There are conflicts, there is stress, and that is the reason in history and geography, if you see, we have a lot of project work, because right from a young age we teach our students to be collaborative workers. Media literacy. Now this is very important, what is to be accepted and what is not to be accepted. Science, maths, English and other subjects will not teach me the importance of media literacy. What is to be accepted, what is false news, what is right news, what am I supposed to believe, what am I not supposed to believe, what am I supposed to know, what am I not supposed to know. Everything is my media literacy. And that is where when you go to higher grades, my journalism comes in. Now these are effective teaching strategies for social studies. If you want teachers, you can note down one by one. Now when I said you know many methods, but it is very important when I use these methods. So today's session, I have divided the methods in 3 parts: pre-learning, during learning, post-learning. Now, I cannot use a storytelling when my chapter has ended, because that is something which I use for set induction. I cannot use a conclusion wheel. I cannot use a conclusion wheel or a worksheet when my chapter is beginning. So there are methods which we all know. The only question is my teaching will become effective, students will become interested in my subjects only when I use it appropriately, when I have to use it. So let's go forward and understand pre-learning strategies. KWL, I'll take through them one by one. These are just listed down. Okay. So the first method is KWL chart. This is a first pre-learning method. You need to get the students involved in the learning, teachers. Most of the times, we speak in the class, only we are speaking, students are only listening. So the first, when you begin your topic, you always carry a KWL chart or ask them to make it in a notebook. Suppose you are starting a topic on solar system. So let them write in the first chart, what do you know? So they'll say, okay, we know about sun, there are 8 planets, there are this, there are this. Next column says, what do I want to know? So you will know what the students want to know. They will say, okay, I want to know what is a asteroid. I want to know, how far is this planet from the other planet? Why does Saturn has rings? Why does Earth has water? I want to know all this. That is where they will learn. When you finish your chapter, let them write in the last column what I have learned and let them match. So whatever their questions were that they wanted to know, has it met? You can put it up as a chart. This is your pre-learning activity. This will get students interested that what new I'm going to learn today. You can have this method right from a very young class also. Not necessarily this is for higher class. A young class can also use it. So this is an example of it. You can see how the entire list is going about dinosaurs and what do we find out and what we have learned. This is an example of it. Next is storytelling. Now, my question to you is, teachers, is storytelling and lecturing same? If not, what is the difference? Please unmute yourself to speak.
Ma'am, hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Storytelling is more interesting because children are able to, we can say, children listen to the stories. Not only children, if we see we can say older persons also want to listen a story very interestingly. So story is always, we can say, a part where they can learn something very easily through a very, we can say, easy method. Okay, apart from only lecturing.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, it depends upon, sorry ma'am, it depends upon the age and it depends upon the classroom also. We can give, we can tell the story in class 1, 2 or 3, but we cannot recite the story in class 11th or 12th. And we cannot give the lecture in class 1 or 2.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this. Yes, yes. Please go ahead. Please share.
Ma'am?
Yes, please go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, since you asked the difference between storytelling and lecture, what I feel is storytelling is more interesting because it includes different expressions. It includes various pitches, high pitch, low pitch. But usually in lecture, we are going in a similar flow. So this is what I feel is the difference between storytelling and a lecture.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much
Hello.
for all the
May I,
answers.
ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please, please.
Ma'am, I think a lecture is a talk designed to teach the audience through information. And the better the information and ease in communicating it, the better learning. Now, telling the story has more to do with revealing a transformation in the teller, I think. So, as for me, this is the main difference between a lecture and a storytelling, I think.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you, teachers. So I'll tell you. Okay, so let's summarize all the answers that you've given are perfect, absolutely fine. Let's understand the difference. Storytelling is something where you have expressions, voice modulation, you have a background to it, you have characters, you have surprise, you have events. Lecture is something that you're telling plain. Now, where is the difference? You gave me the perfect definition difference. Now, most teachers end up making a storytelling lecture. How? Storytelling has to have, oh, there he came, the prince on a horse, and the horse was galloping, and the prince was there with the sword. That has to be my voice, where my students are already there with the prince. I cannot have a story. The prince was coming. Yes, the horse was riding. Yeah, there was a sword also. Are you interested in listening, teachers? Is that story sound good? Is that story sound good? No, not at all. No. Okay. So there is where my difference is in my story. And trust me, you can tell a story right from a junior class to a management level. I am doing my management studies I'm pursuing my MBA in marketing. And my professor, he started the first lecture of design thinking, which is a very technical subject. He started the first lecture with a story. He told a story to management level students. Would you believe that? And it was a very basic Panchatantran story that he told us. And we all got so interested that, what is going to be the next thing? And he only linked it to the subject. That was the beauty of it. And I have acquired that skill. I asked him, how did he do that? So that is how some tips he gave me. First of all, teachers, I'll tell these tips are not here. First of all, for any storytelling, do not take something which is there in the textbook. Teachers, please mute yourselves. Somebody is unmuted. Please mute. Okay. Do not tell something which is there in the textbook. Suppose if you have something about Shah Jahan, about his administration, or you have something about Akbar, about Deen-e-Ilahi, do not speak what is already there in the textbook. Speak something which is not there in the textbook. You can speak about, Akbar's personal life, about his childhood, how he's lost his father at a very young age, and how he had come to the throne when he was barely 13 years old and he didn't get a chance to educate himself. You can all frame it into a story. No textbook has it about that. You can talk about Taj Mahal. You can say how, he created Taj Mahal. It was wonderful, splendid. What is the current scenario of Taj Mahal now? Because of so much of water pollution, Taj Mahal walls have started eroding. Always start a story which is an extended learning. Do not tell a story which is 10-15 minutes. Story has to be short and crisp. 3 to 5 minutes has to be your set induction. Set induction is when you begin your chapter. That is it. So something which is not there in the textbook but related to the topic, begin with that. Maybe many years ago, there were people on Earth, about early humans, which students don't know. They are going to study about megaliths, monoliths, fire. Don't talk about that. You can start with Mowgli as one of the characters. Use a cartoon character. Then your story needs to have all this. You need to have a content. You need to have history. Experience is where your voice modulation, experience and creativity is where your voice modulation comes in. Share it to them. Emotions, like I said, there has to be emotions. If the horse is riding, the horse should really be riding. If there is a thunderstorm, you're talking about King Arthur, there has to be a thunderstorm in your voice. You cannot have a thunderstorm like a very plain thunderstorm. It has to be a thunderstorm. It has to be like that. Communication. You need to reach out that story to the students. If you're talking about Mowgli, you need to tell them that there was this man cub. He was called the man cub, and a wolf brought him up. Marketing is something, when that story you tell to the students, they will share it with others. That is where your storytelling comes in. So most of the times, the error that we do is we end up a story with a lecture method. There is no voice modulation, there is no creativity, there is no content, and we say the same thing which is there in the textbook. So do not say that. Choose something which is extended. There are so many stories that are available which is out of the textbook. Use them. So this is how you can use storytelling right from grade 1 to the management level, to whatever level you're teaching. Next is brainstorming. Who will tell me what is brainstorming? Nobody? Hello? Teachers, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, please tell me what is brainstorming.
Yes, ma'am, where we keep asking questions to the students and the students too can ask the questions to the teacher. Nirmala.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
To create curiosity to learn.
Right. Create curiosity to learn. What else?
To make them understand. Hello.
Yes, to make them understand.
To make them understand about the study of social science.
Okay.
Trying to make them understand.
Okay. Yes, anyone else?
One more thing can be there. If there is any problem or we are analyzing any situation, then finding the solution for that problem or reaching out to some conclusion can be the brainstorm.
Also make them think.
Yes.
Make them think. Okay.
Asking questions and extracting the answers from them.
Okay, thank you so much, teachers. So brainstorming is something, you can see the chart, you can use this way. You write an idea in a box. Now, suppose you're talking about a civilization. So just write the word civilization. Let them all speak what they understand by their word. Have they heard it before? Have they not heard it? What have they heard it? Everything right and wrong is acceptable in a brainstorming session. Allow them to brainstorm. You can use different methods. You can ask them to sit in groups. You can ask them to write it on sticky notes like I have shown in the picture here. You can ask them to sit in groups and brainstorm, and each group can come and present. Now, teachers, please, and someone please mute yourself. There's a background noise. Now, understand one thing. Most of the times, we end up doing all the tasks by ourselves. We prepare wonderful teaching aids. We do 100 number of things to make our lesson interesting. But one very important thing that we forget is to involve our students. So now you have to equip to a new way of learning, and that is partnership. You and students have to be in partnership with each other. You do have the work, they do have the work. So this is how you will involve them in learning. And this is where, when one of the teachers told me that maths and science has more of practical applications, sorry, social studies has most of the practical applications. The only thing we do not involve students. Let them apply, let them think, let them come up with ideas. These are different ways of brainstorming that you can do, and you can see young children also doing it. So involve them. Your role teacher has to shift now from an explainer where you are only explaining theories, concepts. You need to be a facilitator. Let students talk, let students research, you facilitate, you guide. That is where the subject will become interesting. Allow them to do research, allow them to brainstorm. Even if they don't know about anything, let them come up with ideas. If you're talking something about a planet, you're talking something about a mountains, let them brainstorm. What is a mountain? Have you seen? Have you heard of people climbing mountains? Who is a mountain climber? There are professions, there are people who have climbed mountains. They are known as mountaineers. So these are the way you will encourage them. Next is mind maps. Now teachers, mind maps is very important. Now a brainstorming session becomes a mind map. How? I will tell you. Once you have written an idea, you have extended those ideas, and from there you will begin your explanation. So that is what a mind map is used for. Newspaper articles. Now this is very important, teachers. Allow them to look for newspaper articles every day and come up with relevant topics. You can give them time beforehand only. And this is how you will reduce your workload also. Every day you assign a roll number, inform them a week before that this topic you will come up with the newspaper article, what is happening in the current situation. This topic you will come up, the other topic you will come up. Recently there was news in the newspaper that, Mughal Emperor Akbar has been included in the Forbes list, and he is rated as one of the 50 most powerful people in the world. This is an amazing news of history. Now somebody who's not there, why does he become 50 most powerful people? It's a huge thing to think about. Let students come up with that newspaper article. Let them talk about it. They can do it right from grade 3. There is no age group here. Any age group can come up with an article. Now here, when they come up with an article, your work of set induction and beginning the lesson is done. They've already, provoked the class that this is the news which has come up. You can encourage a discussion over it. You can have a brainstorm over it. So not necessary only one method you use in a class. You can use 2-3 methods, combine methods and use them. Now once newspaper article is done, second you go to a brainstorm. Somebody's read about a planet. Okay, now we are moving ahead for a mission, which is Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan. So what is Mangalyaan? Where does the idea evolve? Then you move to planets. Okay, these are the planets. Then you move to the moon. This is how you can have the entire flow of your lesson. Next is audio video. This is self-explanatory, teachers. Audio video we are all using digital. Online class also you are using a lot of digital. But be very careful, teachers, when you are selecting audio and video. Most of us just like the content on YouTube. We download it and we show it in the classroom. Now, a major mistake. I have observed teachers doing one major mistake. Same video they will use in class 3 and in class 8. Solar system video, same video they have shown in class 3 and the same video they will show in class 8. Now tell me, teachers, there must so much of age group difference, the level difference. You cannot use a video for a primary class to a secondary class. A secondary class student will not be interested. They need something which is higher level. You cannot show a basic solar system video to them. You cannot show a basic Indus Valley civilization. You need to show, here you will show in grade 3, you will show an animated video. But in grade 8, you will show a documentary. That is where the difference is. So choose your content appropriately. Next is content. When you are displaying, do not display it at one go. If the video is 4 minutes, stop your video 1 minute each. Play for 1 minute, stop, ask questions. See how much have they understood. Most of the time, students are just watching the video. They are lost. They are not understanding anything. They are not comprehending. Our goal as teachers in the classroom is important to understand how much are they understanding. So every minute, take a pause, ask questions, then move ahead. Do not just show a video at one go. That is not going to be helpful. Next is the third important thing, teachers, when choosing a video, please make sure that the voice, accent, and subtitles are correctly given. That means there is no UK voice, there is no UK accent, there is no US accent. If it is there, please cut off that audio. There are softwares which you can use for videos and put your own voiceover. There are videos which are very good, but then the accent is not appropriate. So when students do not understand the accent only, what is the use of showing such a video? I will give you the links. I will give you the names of such video softwares that you can use, which work in phone and laptop both, to edit videos. You can do that. Next thing is, be very careful of choosing videos when display of attire is done. Most of the videos, teachers do not pay attention to the attire and the clothes that the people are wearing in the video. At times it is not good. Be careful of that also, teachers. So this is about audio video. We think it is a very simple way of teaching. Audio chun liya, video select kar liya, and we go ahead with that. No, it is not. There are strategies when you use audio and video. Next is models. Now, what do you understand by models, teachers? Anybody? What are models? Bollywood models? Yes, please unmute yourself to speak.
Ma'am, it's teaching learning model, ELM.
What kind of, yes, what kind of models can you can you use in the class for social studies?
And we can use globe.
Okay, globe is one of that. What else?
Atlas we can use. No,
Atlas, okay.
Atlas we can use, and we can use chart papers also. The solar systems and all we can show by using chart papers and neat and clean drawing for the same. And
okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, model is yes, ma'am. Model is a representation of a system that we can tell the children that they can think and they can investigate in their minds. Like if I am telling them uses of water, I can show in the model that lady is washing the clothes and she's doing cleaning. We can tell that is model basically.
Okay, so thank you. Let's see what is the model. Model is something like this. So if I'm teaching about Taj Mahal, please mute yourself, teachers. If I'm teaching about Taj Mahal, I carry a miniature model of Taj Mahal to the class. I will show a picture that is very good. I will display a PPT that is also very good. But when they touch and feel it, when the sensory organs are involved in it, EVS, sensory organs, second chapter, when the sensory organs are involved in it, they get a different feeling of the entire topic. They conceptualize it. So these models, miniature models you get in the market, or it might be there in the laboratory, you can place a request to your authorities and get such models. These models are applicable for both history and geography. You'll get a model of a mountain, you'll get a model of solar system, you'll get a model of Taj Mahal, all the models. You can see there's a model of India Gate also. So these are the models that you will use. When you use these models, you can speak about it in the classroom or allow students to speak about it. And they will be interested in seeing them very closely, having it in their hands. Next is real objects. Now, real objects, not necessary, you will find it everywhere. But if you do get a second copy of a real object, do use it in the classroom. Like this, I've put a picture of, Egyptian civilization. This was there in the museum for a certain period of time. And they were the first one to come up with papyrus, that is paper. So the painting here, you can see it looks like a wall painting, but it is actually done on paper. So when you take students for a field visit, they can actually touch that paper. They allow you to do that. So here is where they will understand real life objects. Globes and maps. Now teachers, understand one thing, globes and maps are not something that you will use only in geography. A social studies teacher should not enter the classroom without a globe and a map. We have wall maps in the school. We have physical, political wall maps in the school. Please walk in with that for any class, even a history class. Now you're talking about French Revolution. Students do not know where France is. How can you teach about French Revolution? You are talking about Mesopotamian civilization. Students do not know where is that. So be it a history class, be it a geography class, very basic. If you're teaching about Indian Parliament, students do not know where Indian Parliament is located. Where is the Vidhan Sabha? They don't know it. If you're talking about High Court, which is in your city, carry a map. Show them where in your, carry a map of your own city. Show them in which city is the High Court. Show them which city is the state court. They should know that. So for any lesson, history or geography, map and globes are a must. Till the time teachers, you do not give them a real feel of the concept, they will not enjoy it. I will show you a feature which is there on Google Maps. If you have internet in the school, you have projectors, you have computers, you can access Google then and there itself. Once I end this presentation PPT, you can show it to them. Let's move ahead. Face puppets. This is very important for lower grades. Up till grade 5, you can use face puppets in the classroom. Just create normal face puppets, create characters of the stories, create people, and you can use them. Timeline. Now, be it history or geography, timeline is important. In geography, you study about metamorphosis, changes, sedimentary rocks. All these rocks change over a period of time. The rivers, they have changed their course over a period of time. So which year, what has happened? Any topic when you begin, please put up a timeline. Let students register. Let the visual learners have a look at it. Verbally, they will not understand. If you talk verbally, and this way, they will remember the dates also. Now, this is the second phase of our class. Now, most of the methods you will find a little overlapping. You can use it either post-learning or during learning also. Let me take you through them one by one. Flowchart. So you can ask students to prepare a flowchart. Get them involved. Let one group take on causes, let one group take on effects. This can be done in geography also, teachers. Many topics have causes and effects. Many changes in the weather. What were the causes? Pollution is one topic. Disaster management is one topic. So what were the causes? What were the effects? There was an earthquake in some place. What was the cause of that? What were the effects of that? You can have all these topics in flowchart. Involve students. Let them make these flowcharts. Let them present in the class. Later, you can give an explanation. Case study. Now, this is specifically for higher grades. You can use case studies from grade 6 also. Now, case study is not some comprehension that you take. Teachers, please understand there is a difference between a comprehension and a case study. A case study is something which has statistical information involved. It will give you the exact data. Comprehension is not something like that. It is just a plain composition. Case study will tell you, okay, a human print, an early human print was found on so and so date in so and so location on so and so time. The measurements of the footprints were 10 meters. That means human beings were very tall. So it will give you exact fact. Case study always has facts. So you need to choose case studies. You can give small case studies to grade 6 and 7, which is 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph. And 8 and 9, you can ask them to search case studies and discuss it in the classroom. Now, not necessary, teachers, every case study you make a writing worksheet. Some case studies just display it on the projector if you have it in the classroom and discuss it with the class. Raise questions, and this is how you can do your topic also. You can have a case study, say on Taj Mahal, how the walls have eroded, you know, what has happened. Pollution can be taught through that way. You can have so many case studies which are there. Google will give you a lot of case studies, but select carefully. You can have case studies to teach civics topics, gram panchayat, cases, litigation, how to file a case. All these cases, you will get it in the Google, in the newspaper. So pick right case studies and involve your students in the classroom. PPT presentation, we all know, we all have been doing, so not talking much about it. But see that your slide is in sync. If you're talking about solar system, make sure that all your planets go in a proper system. You cannot talk about Earth in the beginning and the next planet is Pluto. You have to go in sequential order. So any presentation that you do, make sure that you go in sequential order. Role play. Now I want you to answer my question, teachers. What is the difference between a role play and a dramatization? We've been using it on a very, very vast scale. At least one topic in our syllabus will do through role play or dramatization. What is the difference between both? Please unmute, teachers. Hello? Teachers, please unmute yourself. I will have to stop sharing my screen and see what happened. Okay. Please unmute and say what is the difference between role play and dramatization.
Ma'am, role play is kind of the person or character can act out the proper scenario.
Okay.
And role play may be applied to familiar characters from books, from the society.
Okay.
The dramatization. Drama is something that to indicate how objects, a program interact, the proper planning and all. I'm guessing right now only this.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Anybody else wants to answer?
Role play is something what we are acting and showing them, whatever we are teaching, doing.
Oh.
But dramatization is what has already happened. We are showing them in the, like, what you call that, playing back, something like that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Role play, it focuses on the actor role, and usually it is brief, performed in front of audiences. And dramatization, it focuses on scripted dialogues, involves creating a production. Basically.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to answer or should I answer now? Okay. So role play and yes, somebody wants to say. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
I was just sharing one another example that role play is something which is seen, while a drama is which is something which is read. And
you can see a drama also, sir. No problem. Okay, I'll tell you the major difference. Please mute yourself, teachers, those who have unmuted. Mute yourself. Teachers, please mute. There's a lot of noise in the background. Okay. So role play and dramatization is one major difference. That is, role play is an individual playing a role. Now that can be an early human, that can be a Mughal emperor, that can be a president, that can be somebody who's discovered a land, that can be a scientist. Anybody could play a role. A non-living and a living both can play a role. Teachers, please mute yourself. There's a lot of noise. So anybody can play a role. That means I wear a placard and I say, I am the river Ganga. Many years ago, I originated in Himalayas. Today, it's polluted because people have started throwing. So I playing the role of river Ganga. Okay, I can also play a role of, an emperor or a king, or say Shivaji Maharaj. So I say I am Shivaji Maharaj, my father was Shaji Maharaj, my mother was Jijabai. I can speak about different medieval, ancient, all three sectors of history I can talk about. Dramatization, on the other hand, needs a situation. You cannot do a drama without a background situation. Now, role play you spoke about, you became the emperor, you became the king, and you were speaking about yourself. In drama, you will need to have a situation. So, like a situation would be, okay, the Kalinga War took place and Emperor Ashoka was devastated by the loss of life that happened. So, you will play the entire drama basis that situation only. So, your drama needs to have a situation. You cannot have a drama without a background situation. Whereas a role play is an individual role talking about themselves and there is no situation to it. The word drama itself says drama होना चाहिए, मतलब पीछे background में कुछ situation होना चाहिए. So that is a differentiation. So use a lot of role plays in the classroom, teachers. Tell students tomorrow you're becoming a mountain, tomorrow you're becoming Andes, third day you're becoming a river. Come and talk about it. Give them roles in the classroom. Let them come and talk about it. When they will talk, they will not have to memorize the concepts also. They will know it automatically because they have spoken about it. They have played that role in the classroom. And teachers, I know online teaching is going to be a challenge for you. You can use it for online teaching also. Let students prepare the role in the home that they are there. Let them come on any portal, Zoom or Google, and let them speak. Dramatization, we spoke about it. At one point, teachers do get involved in a dramatization with students. When the schools reopen, if they are doing a drama, you've given them any situation, let you also get involved for some time. Suppose you are having a drama on disaster management. There is an earthquake and the situation you say, okay, there is an earthquake which is happening now. How will you survive yourself? So they will act about it. They evacuate the buildings, they run down, they hide under the table. Let that drama happen in the class. You also get involved with that. So all these methods, teachers, are not limited only to one section of social science. You can use it for all 3 and 4. You can use it for politics, civics, history, geography. Only think a little and choose appropriately. Next is sketch map. Allow them to make a sketch of anything, be it a geography or be it a history. We do have map reading, I know that. But before even a map reading, just allow them to sketch out. They will understand the locations more prominently. Think, pair, and share. This is very common method that we use in the classroom. We give them a question, we allow them to think, pair them up, and let them share it with the whole class. All grades can use it. But the level of questions and the level of thinking that you give has to vary according to the standards. Like for a younger grade, when you're doing My Family, you can ask them, do you help your parents at home? What are the tasks that you do? Let them think, let them list down, let them share it with the class. With a higher grade, you cannot do that. You have to ask a high level question. Now, these are post-learning methods. Some of these methods, teachers, you can use in the class while teaching also. Projects is one thing. Now, not necessarily every project has to be at the end of the year only, and every project has to be a scrapbook. Please stop making methods monotonous, teachers. Please stop stereotypical methods. That is where the boredom falls in. Some project you can just have a flip book. On the left hand side, do you see a project where a medal is drawn, 3 kids are drawn, snakes? So this is pictorial flip book. Let them make a pictorial flip book of something and they can speak about it in the classroom. You can have a 3D model like this also when you have, I know end of the year you have cultural week or annual function where a display of models of the students has been kept. So that is also something can be done, but not necessarily a project has to be a scrapbook and sticking pictures and writing about it. You can have pictorial ways, you can have 3D models. Now this is a huge model, what I have displayed here. You can have small little models also, clay models. Let them make a clay model of some historic monument, come and present it in the classroom. Let them make, puppets. Let them make puppets of king, queens, emperors. Let them make mountains out of clay. Paper mache could be used. Right now they are at home. This is something you can use for your online classes also. They have all their old books. Let them use old pages. Let them create best of waste. Let them create, the structure of a river, the earthquake structure, the different kind of rocks. Let them create all this with the use of paper. Demonstration is something which teachers you will have to do in school because we do it mostly in the classroom or laboratory. But some things can be created also. Like on the left hand side, you can see it's a solar system demonstration. You can involve students also. Somebody can become a sun, moon, star. Let them have an activity in the classroom. On the right hand side, we see the falls. This can be done using a sponge at home also. You can also create it, teachers. You get the sponge with which we clean our tiles and utensils. So let students make a project and demonstrate in the classroom. So you can use two methods in one, a project and a demonstration. And this is very simple. They will use just two colors, yellow and blue color, cut it, and they can present it in the classroom. So according to the topic, teachers use your methods. Experiential learning is something which involves everything. So a field trip is an experiential learning where they get to see, watch, and do things. Usually we cannot take them for all the field trips. Now teachers, most of the schools and CBSE also recommends compulsory 4 field trips maximum and 2 minimum in a year. Now suppose if you're teaching a lower grade post office, grade 1, 2, 3 have post office, banks, hospitals, market, mall. These are very common topics. If you've taught them post office for this semester, please do not take them to a zoo for a field trip. If you taught them about a hospital this semester, please do not take them to a bank. Please choose your topic and the field trip in relevance to each other. Just because the school has made it mandatory, just because you have to do it, don't do it. Understand our goal is students. They have to learn. Our goal is not just ticking the checklist. In the entire year, this was my responsibility. I had to do this, and I have done this. But have your students learned? No, you taught them about a mall. You took them to a zoo. How will they realize what a real mall is? So make sure that field trips are very important and has to be in sync with whatever you teach them in the class for that term only. And make sure you take them as quickly as possible. If you've taught them about post office in say in the month of June, do not take them for a field trip in the month of December. It's gone out of their heads. You have to be pre-organized, make arrangements, talk to your school authorities. I assume most of the schools right now, because of pandemic, we are all at home, but most of the schools teachers come at least 10-15 days before the students and they plan the entire annual calendar. So while you are planning the entire annual calendar, plan your field trips according to the topics that you have. And then and there you talk to your school authorities also, to your principals, coordinators, everybody. So it does not happen that, oh, you planned, but last minute the authority is not giving permission because of some reason. Also make sure we live in India. We are not in, we are not in Dubai where there are no rains. We are not in some other part of the world. We are not in London where 24 hours it rains anytime. We are in India, so we have seasons. So when you are taking them for zoo, make sure you take them out in October, November, because rainy season, they will not be able to see any animal in a zoo. So keep all these changes also in mind while you are selecting. This is debate. This can only go for higher grades teachers. 5th onwards, simple debates can be introduced. Now, while doing debates, make sure that you are introducing guidelines. At times, debate might turn aggressive. Somebody says something, somebody will react to something, especially for higher grades I'm topping. So allow students to respect the speaker. Allow them that you have to respect everybody's opinion. Give them only 1 minute. So set rules before a debate. Just don't start a random debate. Make groups, set rules, 1 minute per speaker, that is it. So these are certain rules that we had, strategies that we have. Now this is for teachers. Teachers, these are certain strategies for all of you, be it any grade you're teaching. First is have thorough knowledge. If you're teaching a topic related to a river and you have 4 rivers you have to speak about, make sure you have knowledge of those rivers. If you're teaching a topic from history, which is, about early humans, please read about early humans. Most of the times, teachers are not aware. They are not even aware of what is written in the textbook. And students ask questions. And then that is where the students lose interest, because you do not give them that information. So have thorough knowledge of your subject. Please don't be lecture method presenter. Ask questions, involve them. Like I said, all these methods, please involve them. 1 second. Read current affairs. Use teaching aids. Appreciate, encourage students. Teaching aids is must, teachers. You cannot teach the subject orally. You have to use teaching aids. Just give me a second. Yes. So these are some of the methods that you can use in the class. Just 1 minute. I'm stopping my share. Have I stopped? Okay. One second. So these are some of the methods, teachers, that you can use in the classroom. Yes. Now, anybody has any queries before I proceed further? Yes, teachers, please unmute yourself to speak. Would anybody want to share anything, teachers? Please go ahead. Please share.
Madam, can you tell what?
Now, teacher, there is.
Pardon, madam?
Yes.
Can you tell what teaching aid?
No, I was just sharing one.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
What teaching
Yes.
aid can we use for economics in senior secondary level? Can you suggest something, madam? In senior secondary level.
Ma'am, could you specify topic then?
Economics.
Could you specify any topic?
Economic development.
Economics. You have a lot of currency talking about in economic development. Bring the currency. If you do not have the real currency, use you know what you say, the other currency, the banking notes that you get, artificial banking notes. Show the currency difference to the students. Give them a feel and touch. On the chart board, or on the board, you can draw a flow chart of the economic development. You can show the statistics. You can show how the world was before and how it is progressed now. Earlier, nobody has a mobile phone. See, economic development is something which is a very conceptual topic, but bring it to the real life. Bring it to a real life situation and do a very basic comparison. Earlier, people did not have mobile phone. Learning was traditional. Now we all have mobile phone. That is kind of a development that we have. So things are developing slowly. Earlier, people used to travel by a bullock cart. We didn't have cars, wheels. This is development. So from basic level, go to a higher level. Always start from simple to complex. These are basic B.Ed rules that we've all learned. Simple to complex, known to unknown. What they know, and then to the unknown. Directly don't start with the concept. Always do a little research. That is where. One more strategy, teachers, you can use is photo analysis. This is one strategy I've not shown in the PPT. You can note it down if you want. Photo analysis. You can show a photo of any personality and ask 5 WH questions. That is who, why, how, what happened. So suppose if you show a photo of any president in civics, ask them questions. Who is the person? What happened when he was the president of India or prime minister of India? Where did he live? What was his educational qualification? Where did he come from? So that is one strategy you all can note down, photo analysis. Second strategy, one more I will tell you, is consequence wheel. Consequence wheel. I'll just write it down, consequence wheel. Consequence wheel is something which you can use for higher grade, specifically 6th standard onwards. So it's a wheel. You draw a wheel on the board. I have not put in the PPT because these are very simple strategies. Just draw a wheel. On the left hand side, you draw the positive wheel, right hand side draw the negative wheel. Because why positive and negative? Any event in history, geography or civics has two impact, positive and negative. Let them understand those impacts, let them analyze them, and whatever they have understood, let them come to a consequence, and that consequence you can write in the center. So it is known as consequence wheel. That is one strategy also that you can use. Let students research in the consequence wheel. Let them find out what are the consequences. This is post method. So these are some very specific methods that you can use during the classroom. And like I said, carry real life objects, carry miniature objects. You can carry all these to the class. How you make it interesting, teachers, you have to do a little research on that. One last method also I remember is segment chart, which is very similar to a flow chart. Now you can write it down, teachers, because these are a little similar. I've not put in the PPT. Segment chart is something about an entire segment. You can use it like there are 6 Mughal emperors. So if you are talking only about Akbar, give one administration to one group of the students. About personal life, give one group to the students. About Deen-e-Ilahi, give one group. So 4 groups talking about Akbar. So one is doing segment of his personal life, one is doing segment about his administration, one is doing segment about his Deen-e-Ilahi, one is doing segment about his the historical monuments or the events that he did, significant monuments. So all these segments come together in one class and they present it. So one concept you can teach through segment chart. This can be used for lower grades, higher grades, both. I've put in the chat box. So these are certain strategies teachers use it in the classroom and see the difference that you have, that you will observe in the classroom. And again, I will repeat, involve students, teachers. Do not carry all the burden on your shoulders. Do not make it a lecture method. Let them be presenters. You only facilitate. Every topic, let them present. Right from the beginning of the lesson to the end. Set induction, let them bring a newspaper article. Give them a role play. Tomorrow you're going to be a mountain. Tomorrow you're going to be a sun. Come and speak about it. Whatever knowledge you have from the textbook, beyond textbook, share. And then you explain. When you only explain, teachers, it becomes boring for them. Because we are only explaining the concept. So involve them. Last thing is, I don't know how many of you are asking them to keep the textbooks open in the classroom. But teachers, if you're doing that, please stop. If you're reading from the textbook, please stop. Social science and science. No textbooks on the table. No reading from the textbook at all. It is not English, teachers, understand. English and maths, textbook compulsory. A student cannot sit in an English period and a maths period without a textbook, compulsory there. Social science and science, no textbook allowed at all. The textbooks have to be closed. If you're reading, teachers, from the textbook, please stop that practice right away. You are not supposed to read history, geography, civics from the textbook. It is not English literature. It is social science. Textbooks are supposed to be closed. You are supposed to teach through all the different methods. Textbook will open only and only when in the end of the period you will tell students, today we have done this topic. Please read at home and come. Or mark some important lines for them. That is where the textbook will open. Otherwise, the textbook will never open in the social science classroom. Please make it a habit, teachers, because most of the times when the textbook is open, you are reading, that is where you kill the subject. It is not to be read. It is to be discussed. So this is all, teachers, for today. Any feedback, any questions, please feel free to ask. Yes, Father.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session. The teachers, you are welcome to raise your queries now. Either you can unmute yourself and ask, otherwise you can type in the chat box.
You can give your feedback, teachers. You can share your queries. You can share your experience. Please use them. I'll type my email ID. These are very basic methods, teachers, what I've shared with you. Start with these basic sessions. Start with these basic methods. Might be somewhere down the line, we can have another session where I'll tell you advanced methods. But start with basic first. Basic. When you do basic, then only you can achieve advanced. This is my email ID. I have shared my email ID with you. In case you have any feedback, you want to know any topic, how to be taught, feel free to write to me. I will revert to you.
I think there are many takeaways from today's session. And one of the most important thing what I felt was, see, in most of the schools, in most of the classes, social science subject goes on a very key low note. And students also feel it's very boring. I think one of the reasons, as Madam rightly said, was that we, the teachers who are taking the social science, we were not convinced. Should this be a subject to be in the class? Should this be in the curriculum? Why should we teach it? Since we were not convinced about the objectives, for the need for social science to be in the curriculum, we were not able to induce that passion in the students. So I'm sure Hina Ma'am's session today rightly had ignited the spark, and both on the online and the offline classes, I think this would be translated into wonderful teaching learning practices. I hope that all the teachers would follow the various strategies explained very nicely by Ms. Hina Ansari. Teachers, you can also give your feedback as well as post your questions if you have it.
All these methods, teachers, you can use as of now for the online sessions also. Because students are at home, allow them to make flow charts. 1 second, Mr. Mahesh. Allow them to make flow charts, allow them to make segment charts at home. And while you are doing your online presentation, let them show in the Zoom session. All these methods you can use in an online learning also. Do not wait to the classrooms to open for a regular class and then use it. Use it now. Group work and discussion you can give them, teachers, by con call. Allow students to make call to each other on a con call. Let them talk to each other and next day they can present in the class. All these methods you can do it in the online session right now. Do not wait for a regular class. Apply it now. You will enjoy it. Let them do a role play. Tell them record a video of 2 minutes of a personality at home. Tomorrow we will display it in the Google class. And because the students at our home, they can dress up also for the role plays. Let them dress up also and they can shoot a video and next day you play it in the classroom. So not every time you have to search for a YouTube video. Let students only play that, act that role. Okay, I think, Father, there are no further questions. And everybody is writing feedback.
Okay, so we hope you have an advanced session. Maybe
Sure.
after some.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think we can end the session now. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, Mahesh, you can.
Yes, Father. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. And thank you, Hina, for giving this wonderful session. The session was amazing. Even I have learned so much from this. So it was a wonderful session, and just Father, let us know if you need any other sessions in future. So it was yes, and thank you all the teachers for your participation. The session was very interactive. You have performed or you have interacted in very well manner, and the discipline that should be in the online sessions that you have shown. So it was a very wonderful session for all of us. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you, Hina, again.
Okay, thank you, TM Ratnasagar, also for helping us to
Thank you so much, Father. Thank you, teachers.
I call upon. Thank you. I call upon Ms. Sajita from MGM Itasi to exercise it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Father. Good afternoon, everyone. As all good things comes to an end in life, so is the webinar. I, Sajita V. Nair, PGT Business Studies, MGM English Medium Higher Secondary School, Idasi. I deem it as a great honor to propose a vote of thanks to all who have helped in making this webinar a resounding success. First of all, it's my privilege to give me pleasure to thank His Grace Dr. Joseph Mar Dionysius, Metropolitan, Calcutta Diocese, Manager Bishop of MGM School, and Reverend Father Dr. Joshi Varghese, Diocese Educational Officer, persons behind all the learning during lockdown time. I would also like to wish His Grace a very happy birthday, and we pray for God's richest blessing on him. And I would also like to thank my principal, Mr. M.G. Shibu, sir, for his for giving me this opportunity and for his enthusiastic support. On behalf of our institute, I take this opportunity to thank to those who have directly or indirectly contributed to this webinar and extend a very heartfelt vote of thanks to the Honorable Resource Person, Hina Ansari ma'am, who blessed us with her presence and took out valuable time from her busy schedule. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you said it very rightly that we all are not promoting social subject in a proper manner, but after this session, we will do that. We will maintain the essence of social studies subject. Thank you, ma'am, for teaching us and giving us a new perspective to see the importance of social studies subject. I would also like to take this chance to evince our deep sense of appreciation for Hina ma'am for her work. We are profoundly enlightened with the knowledge you imparted on us. I'm sure I speak on everyone's behalf when I say that we conclude this webinar with a very wonderful learning experience, which we all will bring into our practice, thereby enhancing our teaching and helping our lovely students. Once again, I thank each and every person for making this webinar a success. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, everyone. The recording of this
Thank you. Bye.
Recording of this session would be uploaded in the YouTube link which I have just uploaded there in the chat box. You can subscribe to that channel, MGM Durban. All the recordings of the webinar would be uploaded there. Tomorrow, I hope to see all the EVS teachers back here at 9:45 for the science session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe, all of you. Stay safe, Father. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay safe.